I think the model is still evolving of what is the model between bringing the best of an entrepreneur in a startup and the best of a company. And that's a lot of the work that we're doing in ventures with a lot of different models, because I don't think there's a one size fits all, and also depends on the entrepreneur. But one thing we do know from a venture standpoint within a company, we will always balance when there's any loss of agility or loss of decision making to keep it outside as long as possible. Because we love our brands too much sometimes. And during the early stages, it is best to let the entrepreneurs do what you guys do best. And so you will continue to see multiple models coming out of our shop. And so I don't think the final story is there on how that's going to eventually play out, but we know what the mission should be.
Interesting. Darren, do you advise big companies who are doing acquisitions like these?
So we don't advise the big companies, but we take our portfolio and hopefully convince the big guys to buy them. However, with that said, there are reasons why you should not sell to sort of big corporate buyers. So let's talk. We had 2 transactions that happened in the last 12 months. Well, just over 12 months. One was Jet.com to Walmart, and then we had Sundial brand sell to Unilever. And in both cases, they weren't necessarily just buying the companies because the products were great. Yes, the products were good, and it opened up a market, and it created a larger addressable market for those big organizations. But what we generally find when big organizations are buying these startups is because they lack the talent internally or the process, tools, and technology to understand the market that they want to go into. So for Jet, it was great technology and great team, and that team pretty much came into Walmart and took over e-commerce. Mark Laurie is running Walmart, pretty much e-commerce today. On Sundial, it was how do we understand the multicultural market? We don't have anybody, well, they didn't have a lot of people at scale to understand that, and Unilever brought that in, and now that team is running that group for Unilever. But I would say is if you are considering selling to a large strategic, you got to make sure and optimize for yourself that your earnout as tied to that strategic, if there is one, is tied upon you being there for 2, 3, 4, 5 years, depending upon what it is. And you want to make sure that your company doesn't get diminished being inside of that company. You don't want to, you were talking about if the company's not agile, you could basically run your company into a ground. And I'm sure we all have examples of times where we've sold a company and that company was run into the ground after it was sold. So I would seriously, make sure that whoever is acquiring you, you agree with their vision of the future. And if you don't agree with their vision of the future, don't get tempted to sell because your company may not be standing 3 years after.